ask themselves is what makes you come alive? And it goes back to what you're saying. The thing about it is, even though, like you're saying, yes, more people are not fulfilled and they're reevaluating, but I also feel like there's a time that we should make the certain sacrifices, right? Because we could say, okay, we're on our job, we're not fulfilled and all this stuff, but what are we doing also, like you're saying, what are we doing to make sure we get ourselves out of it? So like you're saying, if you're in your situation and you could do it with your eyes closed, then what is the best way for you to get fulfilled?
Welcome to the Unfilteredlimin podcast. Join us as we reflect on our personal journeys and share our insights, experiences, and stories. From food to music, language to customs, we explore what it means to straddle two cultures and find a sense of belonging in both. Whether you're a first-generation Caribbean American, a seasoned veteran, or simply curious about the rich tapestry of cultures that make up the Caribbean diaspora, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts, Bertide, the Haitian sensation.
Lisa, the Dominica diva.
No one's talking, so let's get unfiltered.
What up, B?
What up, L? What's going on, L?
How
are you today?
Another day.
It's a good day. What's new with you? Day. Hey, cheers to that. So, L, how are you today?
I am doing all right today. I'm doing all right. I can't complain. I mean, I can, but no, I'm good.
The complaining nobody wants to hear about anyways,
nobody
right?
Nobody care about that. Nobody cares.
Hey, yeah. So what coffee talk shop has brought us here today, L?
All right, coffee shop talk. Okay, so I was, this morning decided I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, sit outside, enjoy the nice weather, mind my business, and I just happened to be air hustling and overheard this conversation, two, having a conversation about feeling fulfilled. Are people fulfilled in their life? So, keeping it real, I was air hustling and it just really touched me because then I just taken back and I had to sit back and ask myself, like, am I fulfilled? Am I fulfilled in my life? Like, let me sit back and really analyze that. I mean, are you fulfilled in life? I mean, I can answer my own question. Am I fulfilled? And when I say fulfilled, right, let's start with career. Do you feel fulfilled in your career? I know my answer.
First, L, can you define what fulfillment is?
Okay.
What is fulfillment?
Fulfillment is a feeling of happiness and satisfaction, right? It's also a completion of something, like fulfilling a promise, or it has also two related meanings as well too, in terms of emotions and feeling happy as far as in your relationship or career. So that's pretty much where I'm in your relationship and your career. Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel happiness? Do you feel a sense of completion?
See, that is a loaded question because I feel personally for me, career-wise, fulfillment has taken different tolls, right? So like you're saying, is the completion of something. So I do feel I'm not 100% fulfilled. I don't think that's the other thing too, because I think fulfillment has, based on your definition, has different levels of percentage of how you could be fulfilled. Right. So I would say everything that I've taken up to now in my career has led me to where I am. Am I 100% where I want to be? No. Am I satisfied, though, with where I am in comparison to where I've been maybe a couple of years ago? Yes. You know what I mean? Because the environment is different. The people is different. The people that I work with, the team is different. So, yes, I would say in that instant, I am satisfied, but I do think, though, that people are there's a lot of layers to being fulfilled. So I don't think it's like a blanket career wise. Am I 100% fulfilled or satisfied? No, because at the end of the day, I'm making somebody else's money. I'm not making myself money. And that's why we're on this, podcast trying to make ourselves money. But at the same time, I feel like even if we do get to the level of I am making the money that I want to make and I'm my own boss, is that going to completely fulfill me? Once we get to that status, am I going to truly feel like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm fulfilled. And I think at the end of the day, because we grow and we evolve, I don't believe like you could be 100% fulfilled in one thing because you grow, right? But I guess if it's being satisfied or completing something, you tell me, Elle, do you feel like in your career, do you feel like you're fulfilled? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my coffee. Please tell me more, Elle. Elaborate on why you say while I take
Because
this.
also too, I also look as fulfillment. Do you wake up in the morning before the alarm goes off? Are you excited to go to work every day?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That's
Me?
also part of being fulfilled, right? Because if
Mm-hmm.
it's fulfilling me, I would be
Uh-huh.
excited. I'd be up before the alarm. I'd be excited
Yeah.
to go there. Now, I have been in careers where I have
Uh-huh.
felt like that. I have
Uh-huh.
been in say careers, yeah, working towards it. Yeah, I've been in situations where I felt like that. So to me, I feel like I know what that feels like. So at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time right now, no.
Do
Do I
you
know where
think
I want to go, or do I know what has made me fulfill in the past and what I need to do to get there? Yeah, I do. That I know.
do you think if you go back to that career, because again, I don't know how long ago you were in that environment of the career that you were satisfied, fulfilled, right? Do you think that the person that you are today, if you were to go back to that career, would you still be fulfilled? Because that's the other thing too. Do you believe that if you were to go back, right, would you still be fulfilled in that space
That particular space.
based on who you are? Yeah. So then, like I was saying, people evolve. So I feel like your fulfillment also evolve with who you are, and I think that's why a lot of times we could say fulfillment, but what other areas are you fulfilled? Like, for example, I'll give an example. Like for me, my career may not be high on my list of being fulfilled, right? Because I'm a parent. So for me, my greatest accomplishment or greatest fulfillment is to making sure that my child or my children or basically, they grow up to be decent human beings in this world. You know what I mean? Or successful or productive human being in this world. So to me, I could say, oh, the career thing, maybe right now, even though I may not be doing what I'm doing, want to do or whatever, but it could take a back seat, you know what I mean, to being a parent until they're out on their own and doing what, you know what I mean? So your focus also on fulfillment changes. And I'm sure like as they grow older and they have their own home and their own lives, then my shift and my fulfillment towards my career, you know what I mean, may shift because I'm not giving or putting my focus on making sure that, oh, I'm doing this part in my life. Does that make sense? In personal relationship though, I feel like that's different. I feel like
But also too, when I'm referring to career and personal, right? Fulfillment,
mhm,
you making sure that you raise your son, that's personal.
mhm,
So
right.
you
Mhm,
are fulfilled in your personal
right.
life. You are
Right.
fulfilled in your personal life.
Right. Right.
So that's what I'm referring to. Now to piggyback onto what you were saying go about if I was to go back to be in that environment. For me, it's not necessarily the environment. It's the physical experience of I cannot wait to get up and go to work.
Mhm,
I can't wait to get up and do whatever I'm going to do because that makes me feel fulfilled. It's that
yeah,
emotion. That's the part that I'm talking about that's not there.
right.
Now, we could talk about career. I could explain why I don't feel fulfilled in my career. Because I'm at a point in my life I can do what I do with my eyes closed. So therefore I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can do it
Mm-hmm.
with my eyes closed and there's no challenge for me,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like,
What's next?
that's what it is for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm ready for the next challenge. That's
Right.
what it is for me. Like okay, I'm gonna do this with my eyes closed.
Right.
So I guess for me it's this, I'm just looking, I think it's more emotional, because also
Mm-hmm.
listening to their conversation as well too, is that with the pandemic, bringing back up the pandemic, people had the opportunity to sit
Mm-hmm.
down, figure out what really truly makes them happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like also too, when you sit down and feel like what truly makes you happy is also, that's an
Mm-hmm.
emotion, right?
Yes, I
So
agree.
it's not per se, excuse me, it's an emotion that we're looking for. So now
Mm-hmm.
that people had the opportunity to sit back and reevaluate that, and now we're back in the grind of every day. And they're like, I'm not feeling that. They have time to think and say, hey, I'm not feeling that emotional happiness here where I am. So now people are not staying at jobs, or they're taking the time to find something that is emotionally going to make them happy as well too, because that also ties in with mental
Mm-hmm.
wellness as well too, right? So
Right.
the conversation, they were just saying that they're finding that more people now are recognizing, and more people are like evaluating my personal fulfillment. What makes me happy? And I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to stay in a situation where before we would, because like we got bills to pay,
Mm-hmm.
we're in the grind. You don't really have time to think. Now we had the time
Right.
to think. Now I can sit back and make better choices in life, right? So it's about making better choices, right?
Right.
So I just thought that conversation just really was really thought provoking, and can also help us too to sit back and think, what do we need to, so we can feel
Right.
fulfilled in our lives moving forward also.
Right. I agree with you, and I think it's important because I think there was an Oprah, because Oprah, she's all over the place and she reads a lot of books. She got her old Oprah book club and all that good stuff. Oprah, I'm gonna
Oprah
get
is a
my book.
walking book.
Yeah, I'm Oprah. I'm gonna get my book on your shelf one of these days. I'm gonna make your book club one of these days with one of my books. Because you need to read my story, Oprah. But segue. The reason I say that is because she said she read this book, and in the book, the question that and y'all, I'm sorry, I don't remember the book, but she said that she read this book by this author that said the question that they ask themselves is what makes you come alive, and it goes back to what you're saying. The thing about it is, even though, like you're saying, yes, more people are not fulfilled and they're reevaluating, but I also feel like there's a time that we should make the certain sacrifices, right? Because we could say, okay, we're on our job, we're not fulfilling all this stuff, but what are we doing also, like you're saying, what are we doing to make sure we get ourselves out of it? So like you're saying, if you're in your situation and you could do it with your eyes closed, then what is the best way for you to get fulfilled? What are some, you know what I mean? What is the proper way? Because like you said, the pandemic shifted a lot of things financially for people. And yes, there are jobs out there, but people got to consider their living situation. You know what I mean? How much money you're bringing in and all this other things. So you may be in a situation where you're not fulfilled, but let's say it's paying your bills for right now, right? So
Mm-hmm.
do you sacrifice making sure that you're financially able to pay what you need to pay, or do you take the risk? Because there's another clip, I think you sent it to me, the chief marketing person, the lady that used to be the chief marketing officer for Netflix and all of that. She did the interview. Was it the CEO podcast or whatever? And she was referring to, she's the chief marketing
Oh,
officer.
the chief of Netflix. Oh, you know
Yeah,
what?
she
I
did
forgot her
Netflix.
name.
But you know what I'm talking about? And but she was on that podcast, and I think you
Mm-hmm.
sent it to me where she was talking about sometimes you have to take the risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have to make certain sacrifices and trust your intuition to get that fulfillment. And a lot of times, I think that's what scares us, is that we don't want to take that risk to say, okay, yeah, maybe here and I know that I'm not fulfilled, I'm not happy, but my bills are paid. So how do I move to become, you know what I mean? How do I move to become fulfilled? What do I need to do? And I think that, like you said, because I remember in high school, I think it was high school. I don't know if you did it in your high school or middle school, but they used to bring in like, I don't know what the person was, if they were a therapist or if they were like just a psychologist. I don't know who they were, or career day kind of person, but they came into school and they were doing like skill tests. So they would come and they would have you, work on certain problems, solve certain problems, work with objects. And then at the end of these different tests that it put you through, they would say, oh, you're really good at being very organized, right?
Oh,
So they would
okay.
say, oh, your career, you could be like, or you could be a lawyer, you know what I mean? Or you're really good at this or answering these questions. So you could be a police officer, you could be a teacher. So there's certain things that also, if you're not fulfilled or you're doing the proper skills to learn about yourself, right? To find out what's going to make you fulfilled, and then understanding what makes you fulfilled today may not be what makes you fulfilled tomorrow. I mean, look at the divorce rate. Wink, wink. I'm just kidding.
It's
No,
not
it's not
only, it's not only divorce, also too, when you lose people in your life also too, that changes your perspective and your trajectory
yes,
in life also too as well.
yes,
So
yeah,
yes, lifing will change
yes,
your perspective, and your whatever you feel was fulfilling to you at one moment might not be fulfilling for you later on. Yeah.
right, right. I agree with you completely, but I do feel like people need, like you said, you need to, and I guess that would be a tip or a resource, is take the time to, and we talk about it all the time, doing the work, right? You have to do the work on yourself to understand every so often, however it works for you, you do need to sit down with yourself to evaluate. So, like, I'll tell myself when I start a new job or career or whatever, and again, if it's somebody else's business because it's not mine, I give myself a year to reevaluate at the end of the year whether or not I want to continue with this organization or company, again, because it's not mine.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
if everything is good, then I keep going. But I give myself that time frame, right? Because then my thing is, because I'm an entrepreneurial mindset, I don't want to stay somewhere where I'm not going to be happy. So it gives me that sense of, okay, Bertine, every year. And whether I stay there 5 years or whatever, but I know for me, I do that mentally because then I'm reevaluating, like you're saying, am I happy? Am I bored? Am I getting new skill? Am I doing something different? Am I learning something? So you also got to reevaluate what you're gaining out of the experience.
That's true.
For you to be able to be like, okay, I may not be 100% fulfilled, but I'm satisfied because I'm getting this. And if it's like, oh, I'm not getting that, like you're saying, you know what I mean? Like I'm bored. I need to do what I need to do. Again, it's like a goal. If you're there, you know you're not fulfilled, right? You're not satisfied. But let's say you're making $200,000 a year and it's taking care of what you need to take care of, then you need to also look at, okay, like we're doing the podcast to get ourselves out of making that 200,000 or that whatever for somebody else and making it in our own pockets by being business owners. You understand what I'm saying? So I think you got to weigh it for yourself, and then also have a plan on, okay, how you're going to replace that and make more for yourself if you're that person. But you know what I mean? But I do agree. Some days I do wake up, like you said, before my alarm because I'm happy, not particularly because of where I am career wise, but because sometimes, like, yeah, the people I work with are cool. And I'm like, okay, I've learned this, you know what I mean? But is it every day? No, because realistically, Elle, when you were fulfilled or satisfied, was it every day or did you have certain days? That's another question too.
Just keeping it completely 100. I mean, it was majority of the days. If I went out drinking the night before, no, I ain't gonna feel like getting up. I went partying or something, I ain't gonna want to get up. But I mean, majority of the days, yeah, I was, and even if I dragged to get out of it, but I was excited to go to work.
Okay. So do you believe, let me ask you another question. Do you believe fulfillment is an illusion? Because the thing about it is, how would I put it? Do we believe it's an illusion to just make excuses to be like, okay, I'm not fulfilled? Or do you truly believe at the end of the day, you can be, like you said, for whatever period of time, you get a career or you own your own business, that you're going to be fulfilled? Or do you believe fulfillment changes?
Okay, that's like two questions. So
I know.
first of all, I do believe can be fulfilled in what I do believe that in your work
Okay.
that you're doing. I do believe.
Okay.
Do I think that fulfillment changes over the years as you grow and get wiser and you mature as a person? Absolutely, yes. I think so. It changes. I do believe
Okay.
that. What was the second?
I think that was it. It wasn't an illusion. I think you answered. But
Yes,
yeah, that was it.
I don't think it's an. Now, what I think people make a mistake is, sorry, I think people make a mistake also too that they think that somebody else can fulfill their
Mm,
lives. That is, listen, that you setting yourself up for failure right there. That's not.
mhm.
Nobody
Yeah.
else can fulfill you in your life. You know, you have to find your own happiness. Everyone has to
Mhm.
find their own happiness. Somebody else or some other thing is not going to make you happy. You got to find your happiness with it.
Mhm.
So maybe you asking if it's an illusion, I think it's an illusion when people think that other people are going to make them happy or other people are going to fulfill
Why?
them. That part is an illusion. Yes, I do agree that part's an illusion. But no,
Yeah.
it's all self, right?
Yeah.
That's
And I
all
agree
self.
with you too. Yeah, because I agree with you too on the career is the same thing. So what you just said applies to everything.
Yeah.
It applies to personal, it applies to career, it applies to self, it applies to everything. And at the end of the day, you may get the job that's paying you, you know what I mean, $500,000 or whatever, and
Mhm.
you may have all these stuff, but then for some reason, because you don't know who you are, you don't know what makes you
Mhm.
happy, what doesn't make you happy, you don't know what you haven't dealt with your past trauma, you haven't dealt with whatever, somebody that hurt you in the past, or this
Mhm.
other company that you work with, you have trust issues. So I feel like sometimes, you got to define what that fulfillment is for you, because sometimes it's not monetary. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Sometimes it's not, it's different for all the different, for different people. But I think you're right. It's how you feel
Mhm.
in that moment and what you know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
what makes you come alive. Again, goes back to that question. What makes you come alive? It's something that I feel is, what would you wake up to do even if you didn't get paid, and you're, like you said, you're happy to wake up and to do it, and you don't have to push snooze, you don't have to be like miserable,
Mhm.
and for a higher percentage of time. Let me maybe make it clear, because life would deal with people, life is circumstances, life has a lot of things that happen. It's a higher percentage is what we're saying of fulfillment. Is it going to be 100? I don't know. I can't answer that for you. But it's, at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, the higher percentage of
Mhm.
who, what makes you happy or satisfied, it's a higher than a lower. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Like,
Mhm.
I feel like that's the thing too, is sometimes, like you said, people do look for other people to fulfill them. Not only do you set yourself up for failure, you set that other person up for failure.
Yes, you do.
Because at the end of the day, just like I can't have my children have expectation that, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that, they need to do, like a bunch of lists of, and not allowing them to be who they are. Because the thing is, they're going to try to please me, right? They're going to go in there and they be like, okay, mom wants me to do this, blah, 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 blah. Dad wants me to do this, and then they haven't figured out who they are. They're going to try to,
Yeah.
and then they go out there and they don't know what's going to make them happy. They don't know what's
Oh,
fulfilling them, because they've
that's
just
true.
been,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So I think it
Exactly.
goes back to what you're saying. It's like the
Mhm.
fulfillment in allowing people to express what makes them fulfill,
Yeah.
especially in relationship, even at work. I feel like at work,
Yeah.
we could talk about this, and maybe I don't know. Tell me how much time we got. But at work,
Ooh, we got
let me
5 minutes.
let me make it very clear at work. If you are in a situation that you do gotta go to somebody else's business, right? Because that's your career that you passionate. You gotta step because not everybody wants to be a business person. Not everybody wants to be, in service, but everybody has that passion. Like there's teachers that they love teaching. There's lawyers, judges, police officers. That's what they love to do. That's all firefighters, you know what I mean? Service and stuff like that. So my thing is, if you go into a new position or you are in a position, I feel like a lot of times in companies why people are not fulfilled is because one, like you said, they expect the job to just be, because the job is people, right? So they expect the job to just automatically know that I come to work, I punch in and give my time. You should just automatically give me XYZ. But you haven't expressed your goals to who you need to express it to, right? You haven't told maybe your boss, like, hey, I want to be, maybe not tell them that you want to take their job, but tell them like, hey, be on the path of where you are maybe later on. You know what I mean? I want to be there because, again, it's up to you to fulfill yourself and to know where you want to go. So even if you're in a job that you're not fulfilled, find out why and find out it's because you're not setting goals for yourself to tell. Because I'm a firm believer, when your annual review comes, let your boss know what your plans and your goals are for you to be satisfied. Let's just hope that, Susie and Becky and Jaquan don't hop in that. But that's it for another episode. Y'all go listen to that one. But I'm just saying, make sure your goals.
Yes.
Make sure your goals, because, I guess Susie and Jaquan, they were coffee hustling too, and they just want to, tag on to it. But I'm sorry, people. But yeah, but I just feel like let people know, even if you're in a job where you feel like you're not satisfied, find out the reason why. Your bosses, they don't know what you want to go. They don't know what fulfills you. They don't know. Oh, don't tell them that you're bored though, Lisa. But you know what I'm saying? But just be like,
that.
Yeah, don't tell them that. But like, if it's like, hey, I want to challenge myself. I want to grow within the company and, do your research and find out what area of the company you want to grow into that may seem interesting. And guess what? Most of the time when you do go in there with a plan, they are likely to give you like, oh, talk to so-and-so. We do have this program.
Yeah.
Oh, this, and try it. Because I feel like in jobs where I've stayed, where a lot of times, like you said, that I've been, and that's why I said maybe like my satisfaction with work is different, because I always ask questions to make myself better. So once I know like I'm bored, like you said, at a job or where it's no longer challenge, then I ask the question. And then if there's a ceiling, then it's time for me to move on. But if there's no ceiling and there's opportunity to learn from other people, from other departments, then I take the opportunity and connect with, you understand? Because then it's me, again, satisfying myself because I like to learn.
All right. Nice. Yes. So that was my day in a nutshell. Hustling at the coffee shop, how we can all make ourselves feel more fulfilled in life. So
DLiminCrew. Yeah. If you see us in a coffee shop near you, let me tell you.
Yeah.
No, we might not. Well, we might not be ear hustling. Maybe we are. I know. So, we're going to go to other coffee shops, other restaurants, in Caribbean, because, speaking a different language. I got my French and Creole people. Don't worry, Lisa Patois. Yo, we're going to be bringing y'all coffee talk shop all the time. DLiminCrew.
All right. So, DLiminCrew, moving forward, what are some tips that you feel that you do to help you feel fulfilled? So, I'll start with myself first. Some of the things for me, making sure I feel fulfilled or working towards that I feel fulfilled in every aspect of my life. First of all, is self-care. That's on the top of my list, because without the self-care, you're not able to clear your mind and think and focus on what you really want. Also listening to motivational speakers, reading motivational books. And those are my three things that I do to help me to get to the point And then learning something new. That's my final thing. Learning something new. Something that I know nothing about. Those are the 4 things that I do to help me feel fulfilled in my life. B, what are you?
I think I just mentioned it. Like I think I just mentioned some
About
is the fact
work?
that is the fact that if you are in a work environment and that you like, I think it's the same points that you have, learn about what's making you learn what's not making you satisfied and what is, because a lot of times too is, and there's another thing Oprah said, is the fact that knowing what you don't want, so knowing what doesn't make you satisfied, you're closer to knowing what's making you satisfied. So it's okay if you have a list of, oh, that's not making me satisfied, that's not, write that down. There's nothing wrong with that. At least you know the things that are not making you satisfied, because then you're going to eventually get to what's making you satisfied. So I think, like I said, just like in in my middle school, they have people come in and assess us and stuff like that with the skills. You need to do that for yourself. You need to sit with yourself and find out, make that list or have the conversation with yourself to know what makes you satisfied and what doesn't. And then if you need to make sacrifices with that, make the sacrifice to make you satisfied. But if you don't ask yourself the question, because I think that's where a lot of people, they don't ask themselves
The question.
the question. And they don't make the sacrifice to want to change that, because there's going to be sacrifices. Something's going to have to give for you to be satisfied. At the end of the day, let's be very plain.
Be fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sit with yourself, do the self life skills test or whatever you need to on yourself. I'm sure there's an app or there's a Google something, a link about how you could find out what makes you happy, what type of person you are, or whatever. Talk to your friends, or you know what you could do? DLiminCrew, come on the podcast.
Well, start the comments. You could continue the conversation in the comments below.
Yes.
We'll start there, because we will have a season where we'll bring people on. But for now, we'll continue the conversation in the comments. What makes you fulfilled? What are the things that you do to help you work towards feeling fulfillment in your life, whether it's career, and it could be just personal. Thank you for joining us another week. Stay tuned. We have plenty other episodes, and thank you for
coffee.
Huh?
I said keep drinking coffee, DLiminCrew.
Oh yes, keep drinking coffee and tea, whichever one that you like. Coffee and tea.
We're gonna put, you know what it is. We're gonna put some type of link, and stuff somewhere,
so you could listen into our next episode or past episodes. And thank you for joining us another week. Until the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Unfilteredlimin podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained some valuable insight. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can catch every new episode, and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh, exciting content. And if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss or a story you'd like us to share, please reach out to us. Join us again next Thursday for another unfiltered conversation about the rich diversity and complexity of the Caribbean American experience. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep celebrating the unique cultural heritage that make us who we are. Unfiltered Liming is edited and produced by Unfiltered Liming.